Cool. Let's
Hey,
get
listen,
this
first of all,
started.
let me apologize to everybody. Everybody that, logged in today, and there's a whole bunch of you. And it is a special day. This is, this has got nothing to do with nutrition. This has to do with you. At some point, I've got to pay back everything that you guys have given to me. So if I can share just a little bit of something that can help all of you get to where you want to go in your life faster, I want to do that. And so everyone here talked me into kind of doing a webinar a little bit about that. And that's what really today is. And it's, sort of sharing my story. So I'm going to wrap everything in my story. But this is really about you, what I'm trying to get you to maybe learn from this or my experiences to get you to where you want to go a lot faster than me. And I'm not talking about because you want to own a business or any of those kind of things, because I certainly never did. I just got stuck with it. It just kind of evolved that way. But it's just being the best you can be, where you find that sweet spot in life. And that's really what this is all about. And that's what this lecture is about. And the sweet spot in life is where life and career intersect. And that's really what I'd like to share with you today, how that sort of happened with me. So the title slide kind of pretty much says everything. It is about finding what makes you tick. What is your passion? And use that to get what you want in life. Because you'd be surprised what's inside of you. I can promise you that. Most of you probably don't know if you're still very young. I know some of the older people on the call might, but for those of you that are very young, you don't know what's inside of you. And you have control over how you unlock that. And I'm going to take you through my journey, which is, and again, my journey was a very difficult one. And, hopefully you'll never have to experience the hardships that I did when I was younger, and I'm sure most of you haven't. But the point is that it did form my approach to business and my approach to having to look at myself and say, okay, the only way I'm going to get where I want to go is to figure out a way of putting it all together myself so everything would be in my control. So that's what I'm going to try to do today. I'm going to kind of pass that off, and I'm going to give you, I am going to wrap this in my life. But you've got to look at it through your lens and where you are today, and I'll kind of pull that back constantly so that you can see some of that. But I'll give you some examples, sharing, the way I sort of climbed that ladder at that point and how I looked inside myself to kind of figure out where to go. So we'll start with that. And again, that really is, these are the phrases I'm going to come back to. So we'll start with these phrases in the beginning here, okay? And these are the focus phrases that as you develop and live what I call the 4 E's, most of you have been around me or you've seen me in your clubs. I always like to end with the 4 E's that I created in order, steps that I would take, that I would follow daily in order to make every day make a difference. So the first thing you've got to do is what makes you tick, what fascinates you. And these are just summary points that we're going to actually cover throughout, things you want to focus on. 2, you want to maximize every opportunity, no matter where you are, especially where you are today. You have now while building for the future. You can't just bypass the now looking to the future. Attitude is everything. How you lose, how you win, and how you approach the next step. There are 24 hours in a day, but you still have all the time in the world unless you waste it. And that's an important number, and you'll get it as we go. And don't wait for your ship to come in. Build it one piece at a time. Don't buy a motivational book, write it. And you will end up somewhere in that sweet spot of life and career. Okay, so those are the things we're going to look back on at the very end. And that's kind of, those things will flow through this whole conversation. All right, so again, it is my childhood experiences that really set up my approach to business. And so there's a little sort of maybe an inspirational side to this whole thing, but it really is about how you have to look at things when you are on your own. Because as I grew up, I had no parenting. When you kind of grow up in the streets, you're moving from place to place on a regular basis, you're just trying to get to the next day. You really don't have much more. So here's kind of the backdrop to all that. I didn't start at 0. That would have been great. I started from less than 0. And when you're growing up like that with no influences around you that are positive, you're in trouble all the time. That led to motorcycle gangs, and that of course led to being on the run regularly, and then of course end up being that typical American outlaw. And that was, hanging around motorcycle gangs. But there was a difference, though. And that difference was that during this period, I was playing football. Okay, and I was pretty good at it. And football ended up leading to bodybuilding. And I realized those were the things that kept me from going too deep, because I looked around at all my friends that I'm living with, my family basically, they're either dead or they're in jail. So I realized, bingo, I'm the last man standing. That's a big deal. And that was the aha moment. That was my flashpoint. The realization that sports and fitness had saved my life. I'd have gone down deep all the way, just like everybody else, if I didn't have this higher sort of calling, this kind of feeling. So that was the beginning of all of that. And when that happened, I left that world. My mission and commitment was born. And so this is right around my mid-20s. I was going to pay this miracle forward, because I had no business being alive, basically, except if it wasn't for sports and fitness. So I found what makes me tick. And that's what I'm going to ask all of you do. And nutrition was the beginning of it. And I just want to kind of take you back to how that all happened. When I was in my junior year of high school, playing football, of course, I had just moved in with my best friend, his family. His mom had made me like 5 sandwiches to take to school. Well, no one ever done that before. I mean, I always scrounging around for lunch money before practice and everything else I could possibly get. But I ate those sandwiches throughout the day. By the time I got to football practice, and this is about the middle of the year, middle of the season, I got to football practice. I was never the guy that would win the wind sprints, right, at the very end of practice. I was the guy to be halfway through that. Yet I was a bad DB, so you think I would win them regularly. Well, I didn't. But this day I smoked everybody. And I realized that all that was the depletion of nutrition. Obviously, all of a sudden I had all the energy I needed. I smoked it, and the rest of the season worked out the same way. So that was the beginning of the power of nutrition. And then, of course, evolving into bodybuilding and realizing I could make a difference every single day in the way my body looked by just changing the nutrition component was freaky. So nutrition became what made me tick. I got to experience it. And, of course, sports I was in love with and pretty good at. So that was the other part. I wanted to make a difference because sports and fitness made a difference for me. I wanted to be able to pay that forward to the rest of the world. So that's what made me tick. Now, I'm asking you to look to what makes you tick. You've got to look in and you got to find that first if you're going to get the next spot. And you've got to look where you are today. All right. I was very lucky when all this was, I'm in my mid-20s. I'm reaching the peak of bodybuilding. And Gold's Gym was just starting. I just won Western America, Mr. Western America, and Gold's Gym was just starting. They picked me up and said, hey, listen, you can do this here. We can't pay you much. You're not going to make much money. So I'm still trying to make a living and working as hard as I can as a mechanic while I'm traveling around. They pay me a couple $100 for a day, but it would take me 3 days to get there. But the point is, I maximized my current platform no matter where I was. If I was a mechanic, I'm going to be the best mechanic in the entire building. And I ended up happening. Okay. At the same time, I'm supporting myself to plan A, if you will, which was I want to make a career doing those 3 things that I was madly in love with all the way around. So I was fortunate enough to be a part of this. So there was a little luck involved in Gold's Gym finding me right when they opened. But don't forget, you make your luck. Okay, the harder you work, good things happen. So maximize what is your current platform and make sure you maximize it, because that's your plan A is living your dream, right? That's the sweet spot, but you're not there yet. You're working towards it. So you have to have a plan B, and that's as necessary. So support your plan A. And I'll tell you why. And the whole point there is that, okay, how do you support yourself while you're trying to go to your dream? Well, the only way you can do that is maximize what you're doing in plan B. So you're working in a club and you're a trainer and you want to be a fitness manager, you want to be a district manager. You've got to be the best trainer in that club, best trainer in the state. And you work hard at that, even though your dream is to be up here or there. And even if you're a bodybuilder and you're a fitness trainer, then you should be the best trainer. And you should keep going and going, and yet you want to be a bodybuilder, you want to win the Olympia, whatever it may be. Your plan B can't just be a simple step. You've got to be the best at plan B. Because 2 good things happen. One, you have confidence because you're supporting yourself. You're not starving every day. You're not figuring out how to make a living to get to your dream thing. You're actually working towards it, and you will get there faster. So you need to focus on where you are today and make sure that happens. And the other thing is attitude. So good or bad, every day has to bring you one step closer to your goal. And that's a big, big thing, because so many people go, woe is me, I had a bad day. Woe is me, I had a bad week. Woe is me, I had a bad year. That is a losing attitude, and there's no way you're going to get to the next place unless you turn the bad into something good. So attitude is going to be important. And then the big one here, there are 24 hours in the day. And this was an epiphany that I had. You have to remember, I'm working like 4 jobs to support myself in plan A. But at those 4 jobs, waiting tables at night, working part-time as a mechanic, doing troubleshooting because it was kind of a specialty thing for me, teaching adult education 2 nights a week on bodybuilding and so forth. I mean, I wanted to be the best at those, but I had to figure out I can still pursue plan A because there's 24 hours in the day. And all I need to do is sleep. Well, back then I only slept 5 or 6, but let's say you have to sleep 8. That leaves 16 hours. So I'm really not going to waste any of those things. So you want to stay on that. 8 hours to support yourself, 8 hours to support plan A. Wow. And you still got 8 hours to sleep. So you figure out how you want to divide it up. But at the same time, you can't just spend your whole time, doing those. You do need to figure out how to escape. Celebrate success. Plan escapes as needed to make you feel good. So if you work your tail off for 5 or 6 days, and then take a whole day, go somewhere, do whatever you got to do. Work hard for 4 or 5 days, and then go 2 days and just let yourself go. So make sure you celebrate success as well. That'll keep you grounded at the same time. Okay. All right, let's go. So this is for you now. Start your plan, right? Here it comes. Now, the first thing you need to do, everybody here on the webcast, first thing you want to do is take your character inventory. What do you have? And then you create the steps that are in your control, that you control. You have to control the steps. Don't think anybody else is going to help you. This is inside there. Now, the bonus is when people do help you, and I've had tons of that throughout my life, but there's still set those, and this is how I built the 4 E's. You've got to set that plan, the things that you can control. So what's your inventory? So here's mine. I took my inventory and I realized I had self-confidence because I'd survived an early life that most people would be, had a very difficult time getting there in the first place, which gave me the optimism. It goes, wow. And I had optimistic views about people around me. These people that helped me, all the families that took me in, people that took care of me and helped me and all that, made me feel really positive about anything, no matter how bad it was. Because people are generally very good. And of course, I had no fear of the unknown. I would walk in any door not knowing what's on the other side. Because when you grow up in the streets and you have any fear at all, you're dead the next day. They smell it. Game over. Okay? So those are the things. I'm giving you my example. You need to take a character inventory. I also had discovered my subject passion. You need to discover your subject passion. I knew I had work ethic. I knew that I would be the guy in any room because, number one, I never went to college. So how am I going to be the smartest guy in any room, right? But I knew I would be the hardest working guy in every room. No one would ever outwork me. So I had control over that. But I also had patience, which means I was not looking to get what my dream was tomorrow or the next day. I was willing to pay the price of taking the time to do it. And if you don't have patience, something bad's going to happen. And through all of that, I learned that hard work could actually trump intelligence. So start your plan this way, take your character inventory. All right, so quickly, here's just a real quick thing. These are the 4 E's that you can control. So there's really no limits to your career because you control it. But what you really want to know, look at the subtitle here, every day something moves in the right direction. So here's the 4 E's. We're going to break them down one at a time. 1, educate. Get smart, fast, and use it. 2, exemplify. Wear your brand daily. Live your brand. 3, execute. Hold yourself accountable to your plan. And 4, evolve. Get better, but be ready the right way. Don't just make stuff up. So anyway, here's the 4 here. We're going to come back. We're going to break them all down one at a time. Let's start with the first one. Educate. So obviously, from a kid that never went to college. In fact, I always make the quip, I not only did not go to college, I never even drove by a college. So somehow, one way or another, if I'm going to be this person who's going to save the world with nutrition, save the world with sports and fitness, I had to get smarter really fast, really fast. So I made a commitment to learn something important every day that I could apply to my field. So you need to learn something important every day that you can apply directly to your field or career. So you got that's an important aspect of all of it. Now, at this stage in your life, education should be relevant and applicable. So in other words, it's okay to learn a whole bunch of stuff, but you better find something every day, or try to find something every day that you can use, whether it be anything that you learned from, anything that you watched or anything that you studied. All right. Get smarter to stay motivated. The smarter you get, the more motivated. Because again, work should never be a chore. It should be a place to grow. And if you can kind of look at it from that aspect, it's because you're bringing something new into the workplace on a regular basis. And write down what resonated and use it. So maybe you were just watching the news and you saw something on the news that you can use and apply it to your field to make you better. That's plan A and plan B now. Maybe you saw a movie. I remember going to a movie with my girlfriends back in the old days, and I would just watch a movie and I go, God, that was a great message. What is that message? How can I use that and use it to communicate better when I'm doing lectures or I'm doing seminars? Okay. Or maybe it was a game. You saw something there that really hits you hard. How can you apply that to your field? Something you found in social media, or an argument, a conversation you had with your spouse. All right. Maybe there was something there that you learned that you can bring back to your field somehow. And then, of course, your textbooks, your school, and your classes. Don't waste that education. Stay relevant. Write something down. Use it. Maybe you go on vacation and you learn something. But there's always a time that you should make sure that something applies to your field. You will be surprised how fast things move with that. And not only that, it becomes a really, really fun journey when you're making that happen. And write it down. I always do that. And make this just an automatic part of your life. Because this collection of knowledge evolves symbiotically. In other words, all of this knowledge works together to form your subject knowledge, number one, but most important, your career message, how you communicate continually. So educate, right? Learn something new every day and apply it to your field. Number two, lead by example. This is never more true than in the fitness industry, obviously. So we're going to stay in that example. And obviously the same thing with me. It was easy for me because I was a bodybuilder in the beginning, and it was obviously you're visually by example when it gets right down to it. But whatever you're selling, and this is really important, you better believe it. And you'll never sell anything, because passion will always show through as truth. But you need to walk the talk. You need to wear your brand, the product. And what that means is this: your family life and your orbit, the people around you, the communities that you're with, is a microcosm of what your career is dedicated to. That's what it should look like. That's what it should feel like. And I can promise you, people are just going to want to follow you. So leading by example, that's what you need to do in a very quiet way, an assuming leader. That's all it is. It's not a barking leader. It's not any of those kind of things. It's an assuming leader. You can think of all of the examples. Don't just know your subject. That's easy. Live it. So these are the things, again, that I had commitments I made to myself. Now let's go to number three, and that's execute. Now this is the one that kind of ties everything together. You got to hold yourself accountable to your vision, mission, plan without distraction. So the key word here is distraction. All right. The world is so noisy now, with social media, with all of the things, with Google and the internet and everything. And I'm not putting it down, because I realize that's the world we live in. And not only that is necessary to survive, but the point is, it's just, you've got to hone things down. Execute. Make yourself a plan. Now we're talking about a plan, a 1 year and a 5 year plan, a personal and career plan. So you need to set milestones and goals. A 1 year career, a 1 year personal, and a 5 year personal, tied to your overarching vision. So there's never a time I just go, I'm going to save the world of sports and fitness, which is the commitment that I made to myself after I realized it saved me. There was never a time that's all I looked at. How close will you be after a year and 5 years? What do you have to knock down in order to get closer and closer? And hold yourself accountable. And that's a big deal, to hold yourself accountable, because it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to give up. And that's not what I'm talking about. Now, again, doesn't mean your plan might change, and because it's definitely going to change. If the one thing I know about plans, they always change. But at least you've got that all down, which means write shit down and execute it. Focus. Try to block out all the noise. All right? Every single day should be progress, no matter how small. And of course, that's that part about staying positive, because you're going to have bad days, bad weeks. You might even have a bad month, but somehow that bad day, that bad week, that bad month, you learned how to go faster the next 2 or 3 months, because you took that and made a positive out of it. And then here comes the big one. Surround yourself with people with similar self-interest. That doesn't mean they do the same work you do, the same things you do. They have the same life values. Okay? And that will help you execute what you want to execute. In other words, lose the losers in your life. Lose the people that bring you down. Misery loves company, and they want to bring you down. They don't want to on purpose. They're just doing it because they're miserable. To surround yourself and look at yourself as number one in the beginning to keep things moving the right way, and then you'll be able to help people in a better way. There's an old saying in the streets, when you grow up in the streets, if you don't take care of yourself first, you can't take care of anybody else. So surround yourself with people of the similar self-interest, same life values, because culture is everything. Culture trumps anything you want to do. Your surroundings are going to get you stronger, stronger, stronger if they're like people. So, execute, analyze how that execution is going, and then finally, your fourth E, evolve. If you don't evolve, you will become insignificant. So at some point, you've got to, and certainly in my example is, I have to be ahead of what is next in fitness. I got to be where the customer's going to go. But at the same time, stay evidence-based and unique. And of course, you guys know we're unique. We are very unique in the way we approach, fitness, in that holistic approach, and putting it in that whole holistic approach into the scope of practice and the trainers, because we think every single person in the world should have a trainer, for sure, one way or the other, rather than having to only go to a doctor when you're sick. We want to take care of you before you're sick. So we have a very unique way of doing that, but evidence-based. You can't just go Google things and go find out, okay, let's see, this is what everybody wants to do. So you got to remain grounded in truth. Grounded in truth. Don't just sell out to all the hot things, whether it be a keto diet or a vegan diet. I'm not putting those things down at all. I'm just telling you, you can't just jump on the bandwagon of whatever is happening today just so you can make a living. You've got to stay grounded in truth, but you can always get better at delivering the truth. And that's what it's all about. And figuring out how you put that all together with what is going on in today. You got to stay current. Okay, stay current. Also stay pure. Now, pure means this. It means your intentions are pure. You might be wrong in an answer, but your intention was pure. Because science changes, things change, things evolve, all right? But in your plight to be the best, make sure that you stay pure. And that is like today. So whatever you want people to think about you today, that's the way you work every day. And that's what we call evolving your legacy. Because, I'll tell you this right now, it matters what people think. Because guess what? Whether you like it or not, that's who you are. So there's your 4 E's. I put this as a download for you. You guys will be able to download this. This is a summary page. Or not when I say that, this is just the little parts underneath it. So the quick summary of this whole thing, end of this 4 E's is this. Care about others and they'll care about you. And you have no idea how important that is to your success. All right, so the 4 E summary here, execute the education and evolve with it. Execute your education, evolve with it to be better. Be your product. Don't get complacent and stay positive. So you keep that in mind. That's the summary, just one sentence summary. So while you may not be able to always guarantee success, you can guarantee how hard you work. And guess what? When you work your tail off, good things just naturally happen right there in the environment you're in, and you'll see how that evolves. So I always like to leave this part with this last little saying of mine. It's not about toughness. Toughness got me through every day of my life when I was young. Tough will get me through a day today. But it's about strength. Strength will take you the distance because that's in your soul. It's something that you have, which means you can endure anything and continue to look positive through it. That's what strength is. Okay, so here is the 4 E's at work. For those of you that haven't seen my timeline, I'll put it together for you. But I do want to preface this by saying there was never a time in my life I ever wanted to own a business. And by the way, I would actually say most of you think about it, because it can be very trying for a lot of people. I just had to evolve that way because the fitness industry was so fragmented in one place, right? So that's why I kind of got stuck with it. But this is a study in patience, because patience is huge. So yeah, this was knocking things down one day at a time. Every single day made a difference. So this is what it looks like. For those of you that haven't seen this timeline of mine, your timeline will be similar. But if you look at 1974, when I first started getting into bodybuilding, right? And I started with Gold's Gym, and this was like, obviously the platform I had. This is what I used to look. They hung out in front of all the new Gold's Gyms that were opening up. But we took my nutrition program that I had built back in the late 70s and early 80s and put it into a software program in 88, launched it through all the gyms, expanded. Next, that's the first big company that I actually started because I put everything together in that point. But the only thing I was missing was the trainer certification. So I bought NESM and built NESM. I think most of you are probably NESM certified. That was the company that I built back in the day to get trainers credibility so I could marry nutrition with it. Fortunately, my lifelong business partner, every once in a while you got to get lucky, and I got lucky with Mark Masteroff, who's certainly the most iconic figure in our industry. He founded 24 Hour Fitness. I was just fortunate enough to be able to merge Apex with that, and we became partners for life, and all the businesses going forward. And we turned, of course, all the other partners, Jim Rowley, Eric Gallup, all the other partners that I met into that wonderful organization helped me keep expanding because they believed in what we were doing on that holistic approach. So that was the big turning point for all of us, I think. And then, of course, I was fortunate enough to be the inventor of the Body Bug, which was the first fitness measuring device, wearable device that started a whole industry. Fitbit and the rest of them came after that. Got on The Biggest Loser with that. That was another part of it. But it included nutrition. So that was that whole thing. But look at the timeline so far, everybody. So you're looking at the timeline here from 74. We're all the way to 2003. That's a lot of time. Patience. And then, of course, .fit, the platform that you're all using today, is the evolution of all that. It's just the next generation set for the future, which is big for us. And, of course, we now power all the biggest brands in the world. And we are certainly the largest provider of fitness and nutrition programming anywhere in the sports and fitness channel. And the latest company we just bought, PTA Global, which is also a trainer certification here. After selling NESM, the no compete was up. Mark and I got involved with getting this one here because we want to alter the content and make it affordable for trainers so they can hit the ground running. This is a very important part, but we're still obviously great partners with NESM and always will be as we kind of put all this together with all of it. So anyway, this is kind of the timeline. So look at that. What is that? Can anybody do the math on that? From 74 to 2016. So don't be in a hurry. That's my point. It's one day at a time and you will get there. One day at a time, but just don't waste that day. Even if you'll find something that you can apply to your field. All right, so remember I said something about this. Long as you may not be able to guarantee success all the time, but you can guarantee how hard you work for it. So if you want to guarantee success, I kind of put this last little part in here right now. This is a little piece of another lecture that I do. This is when, if I get interviewed, the people will say, so what is your secret to success of being in this business for so long and staying ahead of everything? And I always say, well, there's no secret. But I do have 5 rules that I stick by. And I started those rules very early on when I started the first business, and I stick to the what. So the first thing is if you're going to be successful in any business, any industry, you better have the right product. Okay, so that could be a car, right? Everyone needs. Now, definition of a right car, excuse me, the definition of the right product is something almost everybody needs, which would be like a car, which would be a computer or a cell phone, right? Well, fitness falls certainly into that category. So, but the problem is, it's cars, phones, computers, fitness especially is commoditized. It's everywhere. Go to Google and ask one question, and get 10,000 answers. And usually most of them are wrong. So, I mean, you have to focus on what is your big idea around fitness. And I know you guys know what mine was. It was nutrition. But what is it about what you do about fitness? Think about that. Do you do the best kinetic chain assessment than anybody? So you develop the best corrective exercise? Do you do the most concentration on nutrition? Do you know supplements better than anybody, or you want to know them? What is your big idea? And that's what you sell. Don't sell fitness. That's not going to work. Focus on the big idea of that overarching goal. All right? So focus on that. The second thing is, we talked about this passion for the product. If you're not going to work hard if you don't love what you do and if you don't love the product. Mine was nutrition, all of those things. So without a doubt, that was what was important to me. And so there was no way I wasn't going to work hard. And the thing about this is, leading by example is an infectious attitude. And I'm not talking about the workplace. If you walk into any of my workplaces, all the thousands and thousands of employees that have worked for me, they work the same way. They have that same thing. People feel guilty if they're not working hard, just because you lead by example. And if you have passion for the product, you'll continue to do that. But it does more than that. It transcends the workplace. It happened in my life with like my family, right? My kids, I've got 2 professional athletes that are son. My daughter, she cut her first CD when she was 18 years old. I mean, that's harder than making it to the NFL, like our older son, Nelson. But the point is, and then Zane just won his first super fight, in Barcelona as he went through Europe this last few months. But these guys found early success because they watched me every morning, get up in the morning, put my boots on, make my lunch, and go to work every day. So again, that passion transcends, and then transcends the workplace and goes into your family. So we're getting close to that sweet spot that we're talking about here, where everything just kind of works together and flows. Okay, that brings us to number 3, and that is commit to deliver and finish. And the only way you're going to do that is if you do have that positive outlook on everything that happens. I've failed as many times as I've succeeded. You learn absolutely nothing from winning. You only learn when you lose. So I would take any one of those failures and anything that I attempted, and what did I learn from that to make it so that I went 1 step back, but now I can go 3 steps forward. And that's that positive outlook. Otherwise, you're woe is me, and you end up giving up. Because let me tell you something about giving up. That is like the easiest thing in the world to do. So you got your 1 year and your 5-year plan, and things aren't going right. Figure it out. All right? Understand, have that optimistic outlook on everything that you do, so that all those little bumps and bruises come out to where you know what to do not to get them again, and accelerate even faster. You've got to turn everything that way, because giving up in the world I grew up, let me tell you something. There are fates worse than death. There's things that eat at a man's crawl, and that is a life of regret. I coulda, woulda, shoulda. I'm never going to have to utter those words in my lifetime, and you don't want to either. So again, commit and deliver to finish whatever that 1 and that 5-year is, and keep going on all that. Because you will find out, if you just jump the fence and go to a greener pasture, they very rarely materialize. Yeah, sometimes they do, but not always. So maximize the environment you're in. Brings us to number 4, and I think you figured this one out already, patience. And patience means this. Never go from point A to C without going through point B. Something bad's going to happen. Shortcuts do not include compromising values. And by the way, shortcuts generally mean you don't want to do the work. So be patient. I showed you my timeline. Okay? So it took a long time to get there, and I started late in life. I know many of you are younger than when I started on that whole journey. So be patient, just do the right thing, and that brings us to the 5th one, which is integrity.
Yep.
None of this means anything. Integrity is a decision that you make every day of your life when you get up, when you get out of bed, you make the choice of choosing the truth over popularity. Don't just manage data for your convenience. So integrity wraps this all together. So you got the right product, but focus on what you do different and what's unique about that. Passion will make you work harder than anybody else. Everybody else will work around you. Don't give up. Commit. Be patient. Don't skip steps. And maintain integrity. And then wrap all that in no fear. And then you'll realize that you have in your career are the ones that you set. No one else is setting them for you. It's all on you. And the no fear is go. Keep going. So challenge yourself to make a difference here and now in the environment you're in, because that's how you will find that continual financial and spiritual success. And evolve your legacy now. Don't start thinking about legacy now. Today it starts. It started when you were a kid. It started in elementary school. That's what people think about you is your legacy. So make sure that you're living that every day. Certainly our business legacy, you guys have all seen this. You know, we spent a lifetime building this fitness empire with all my partners to find people and businesses with fitness passion and give them the tools to make everyone they touch live better. That's all. That's what we're trying to do. Live better longer and save the world through fitness. That's what it comes down to. You kind of get sort of the soul of the way we run our businesses. Because I know many of you have been around me forever. It's not just about your family. It's about all families. When you grow up, as I did, and you make it to the other side, it really is about all families, not just yours. You have to look at it that way. So, big question here. So everybody goes like this. Okay, you know, you're 67 years old. You know, so are you? So when does this end? Well, have I saved the world yet? Have I saved the world of sports and fitness? So obviously the answer is no, I haven't done that. But I think I've made a dent. I think we've all made. I don't make a dent without you. I don't exist without you guys, which is why I still go to your clubs all the time and hang out with you guys. But the point is, this is my last crusade. And now hopefully with all of you, we can actually execute this. You know, we've got a horrible problem with healthcare right now. Here's the current U.S. today. This is the same as Western. It's all Western nations like Europe as well. 78.6 is our lifespan, which is just horrific. Makes no sense. 80th on the list, by the way. Our health span is 68, which means by that time we're on medications. We have chronic diseases. 35, we stop doing the things we love. You guys have seen me. I've been on this lecture around the world right now. And that's only because people follow what we tell them to do by 40%. They're missing all that nutrition that they actually need, you know? So the whole idea for us is to make sure that we can just bump it up a little bit. Look at that. Look at the play span getting closer to lifespan. This is if you live long. Don't forget, on the lifespan thing, I'm not talking about you're going to live longer. I'm just talking you're going to live better. But if you make it to 90, you want to play till 90, right? If you make it to 100, you want to play to 100. And if we can get people to follow our recommendations, then we can do that. So what does that mean? And you guys have already known that the earlier you start, the truer the numbers. You can't start this when you're older. You've got to start this when you're a kid, when you're healthy. Everything is about starting, filling all your gaps, staying active from womb to tomb. This is not an option if we want to be able to get this. And we, trust me, the algorithms drive all these numbers here, right here. So, and you guys, this is of course the baseline nutrition that we need to support those numbers, get in the top rung, which is why now you know why these are the most popular supplements in the world. These ones here, people are trying to do that, but they start too late. Start when you're young, the prenatal, you know, just wiped out 30% of all birth defects, you know, in one swoop. And that's just something about multivitamin and mineral. Continually giving your body all the things it needs. This is my last crusade while you're healthy. It's not going to work otherwise. You can't just start taking it later. Because nutrition creates health, not medicine. So health is the domain of nutrition. And everybody wants to get themselves. I guarantee one thing, this last crusade I'm on, people would rather see you, rather go to the gym than go to the hospital. Trust me, I got no way. And I know for sure they'd rather take a low-dose, inexpensive multivitamin mineral rather than have to take drugs the rest of their lives because they missed all those things that built their body. Now they got osteoporosis, they got all kinds of problems from not getting all the things they need when they're younger. I'd rather have my pill box full of vitamins and minerals, which is all you need is one, okay? Maybe a fish oil because you're not eating fish, and going from there. All right? But this is the future. This is my last crusade to make you guys a superstar. You know, I mean, fitness should be the primary side of healthcare. As long as we have that, we're not going to just sell exercise and save the world. But when we have a solution to give people everything they need for the 24 hours a day, while they're healthy, that can keep them healthy. And that's what the whole part is. So fitness would be healthcare versus the disease care model that we're in today, where people go when it's too late. So that's really what I'm doing it for. I always like to end with this. You can work with my staff now or their staff later. It's your choice. Because you guys got it. You people, I know the ones that are on this webinar are doing all those things. So that is a very altruistic mission that you guys are on, and we will be here. I'm going nowhere, because I can tell you right now, people always ask about my age. I'm just getting started. I got a whole thing going on. I'm just getting started. It's just the beginning. I mean, why would I leave? I've hit that sweet spot, and there's no point in it. So there we are, right where we started, guys. That missed childhood of mine built a dream. And I'll certainly never get that childhood back, but I also don't have any intention of waking up from that dream, because I'm still living in that sweet spot. And there's no reason to stop doing that. That dream continues to unfold thanks to you. Without you, it wouldn't. You're the ones that deliver it. That's why I still come down to the trenches with you guys all the time. And so most importantly, you need to start thinking about your legacy and live it every day. You don't just start your legacy, you live it every single day. Mine, since I started this vision, would hopefully be, this is what people have discovered in me for the last 50 years, and that is he delivered the truth and fitness to give the next generation a much better chance than he had. So that would be mine. So as we wind this down and go to questions, I wanted to leave you with this. So take a look at your life and career sweet spot. This is what the whole reason we started this whole thing is, that mine was nutrition, sports, fitness, and make a difference. Just getting started. Yours, it's in front of you. If you can plug into your passions, you got to find out what makes you tick first. And if you're willing to do the little things every day that add up to the big things, and then you got it. So there you have it. Okay. Kat, so go back to those focus phrases now. What makes you tick? Maximize every opportunity. Attitude is everything. There are 24 hours in a day. But you still have all the time in the world. Just don't waste it. Don't wait for your shit to come in. Build it. Don't buy a motivational book. Write it. And you'll be in the sweet spot. Okay, good. I'm all set, Kat.
All right. Thank you, Neal.
Thanks, everyone.
Appreciate that. We'll be sure we put up the slide deck on our website under Masterclass. And like I said, if you got a question, please enter it into the question section of the GoToWebinar window. And we will get started. Okay, so what do we got here? All right, so Bob wants to know, how do you get people to buy our nutritional services? So many people won't spend to better themselves.
Well, that goes back again to leading by example. First of all, if they've come to you for a reason. And if you let them push you around for their reason, well, I read this on the internet. I just want to work out. If you let them do that, then they do that. Okay? So you have to say, if they came to you for a reason, if they come to you, this is your program and you're wearing your brand. They look at you and you are so confident because you know your subject so well, there's no way they're going to say no to your program. But the second you separate nutrition from exercise, you're done. Game over. Over. It is one word. It is one program. You don't just exercise and don't eat. Exercise sets the stage. It's the trigger event for what we want to happen. Nutrition makes the movie. Bad nutrition, bad movie. Same nutrition every day, same movie. Nothing changes. So there's just some key phrases, and you've seen them from our webinars and everything else. There's never been a time, and I'm talking about millions of people, that I can't look at someone and say, this is what we're going to do. And the vast majority are always going to do it, because not only does it make sense, it's just like there's no other option. It's not negotiable. So you do have to get to that point. But the only way you can get to that point is if you know your subject. So learn something new every day. And if it's nutrition that you're lacking in, learn something new every day on that and figure out how to communicate that.
answer. Okay, so hope that helped you. We've got another one coming in, Neal. So this is a personal question for you, Neal. What's your favorite protein and why?
My favorite what?
Protein.
Oh, my favorite protein as far as food goes, right?
I don't think
Not
so.
protein,
Why don't you
not,
answer
not a
both?
protein supplement.
Why don't you answer both?
Okay, both. I'll do both. Okay. All right. My favorite protein is because it's got a whole bunch of carbs in it. My protein supplement is First String. I have that every morning. I make a First String mocha, right? So it's coffee with 2 scoops of First String. So I get 30 grams of protein, 2 big scoops, which is 30 grams, not just the 25. Okay, and then I put a little bit of non-fat milk in it too to make it creamy, and then 6 ounces of coffee, to die for. And then I actually put unsweetened chocolate on the top. So now I got the polyphenols from that, shaved stuff. And you get your antioxidants, you got your caffeine, and you got your protein. Are you kidding me? I could live on that. That's number one. But the other thing is, as far as meat goes, as far as protein food goes, it would always be like flank steak. It would be red meat. But again, flank steak is actually leaner than chicken. So that's a good, healthy one for sure. But I do like red meat. I eat fish probably more than I eat almost anything else. Maybe that's why I like red meat so much.
Okay, so another question coming in. With so much emphasis on functional medicine, functional fitness, especially with those over 40, what certifications would be best to get to streamline your business to address their issues? Especially
You're talking about functional fitness, not functional medicine.
Functional medicine and functional fitness. So those are
okay.
two, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be completely different situations, functional medicine. But I mean, I look at fitness as medicine at the end of the day. Best certifications, well, I think when you're going to get into any of those, your corrective exercise with NESM, I think the base certification that we have with PTA Global now and NESM as well was all part of the functional movement. We started it in our clubs. So every pioneer's got arrow on his backs, and as soon as I went in there with all that functional fitness, not plus me, I'm not the smart guy when it comes to that. That's why I had Mike Clark, Dr. Clark, made him a partner with us, and he created all the programs, the OPT model, and then we was marched it through our clubs, and everybody hated us in the beginning, but it is the future for sure. And Gary Gray, another guy that was a big part of that whole movement. So without a doubt, that's the future. And what basically, functional fitness to me is wrapping physical therapy into exercise. How do you get that in there? So the correctional part of it, all the different things, the balance training, all those things are so important as we age. You're just not thinking about it when you're young. So I think all those certifications, NESM and PTA Global, because PTA Global has all those same components that was started by NESM people as well. So those are both perfect certifications, and then going to the next level will be like corrective exercise stuff that NESM has.
Yeah, and I would suggest from the nutrition side, NESM's done their new nutrition certification course, and they address a lot of the behavioral aspects of getting people to create new habits, which is super important, right? A lot of people struggle with that, so that would be something to look at as well. Okay. The next question is, are you involved with helping to improve our national school lunch program? And if not, do you have
national what?
School lunch program. Lunches in schools.
Oh, no, I did. I was involved back in the early 2000s. 24-Hour Fitness, we were on a big crusade back then. I wrote all kinds of newsletters about the school lunch programs and everything else. So I'm no longer involved. That has become political. It really has. I mean, listen, if we could figure out a way to get all the healthy foods in there and kids would eat it, the argument is the kids won't eat it and then they're not going to do well in school. And then, you just let them have what they want, quit being the nannies. We don't want to we don't want to govern everything that people decide to do. They got to make up their own minds. I mean, it got so political, we just ended up walking away, but I always made good school lunches for my kids, as I still do today. I bring my lunch every single day. You can ask everybody here. But yeah, so I mean, I'm not involved in it. I would love to see it. I mean, if you look back in my newsletters that I wrote, you remember them, Kat, back in the day, about school lunches and about how Coca-Cola pays the school tens of thousands of dollars every school to get kids addicted to Coca-Cola. by putting in a Coke machine. They give it to them free. Let the school keep the money. They don't even have to buy the Coke. They just get to keep it all. And they pay them to put them in there to get kids addicted to Coca-Cola. That's the calorie Coca-Cola, sugar. Yeah. So, I mean, we know the problems with it. It's all business. It's political. So all we can do is, in our own families, root it out and do the best we can. And I know it's very difficult.
Yep. And then just to go back to this whole functional medicine, functional fitness thing, Dr. Steele is on the call with us, and he wanted us to remind everyone that we've got a whole portfolio of medical fitness on PTN. So
good. That's right.
Not forget about that.
He's our resident doctor here. His office is right behind me, as a matter of fact. Thanks, Kevin.
Okay, so another question. Finding your tribe seems to be a major pillar of the most successful people and in business. What, if any, strategies do you use to actively find your tribe?
Yeah, I think that's it. What's that last part, Kat?
So I think he's talking about creating culture.
No, I totally get that. I think if you're going to go out, nothing's going to happen, right? It has to happen organically. I started doing seminars around the country in my 20s, in my mid-20s. I was pretty a regular speaker just because I was bodybuilding, going up in that. And people just got sort of enamored. I would endear myself to them only because there was something sort of truthful and real about the conversation. It wasn't some kind of studied conversation. I'm not a good speaker. People think that, and I get credit for that. I'm jealous of people that are extremely articulate, that they're just able to connect words incredibly. And I listen and I go, God, that was just like an amazing talk, but it didn't do anything for me. So somehow it comes from within. You can't wear a facade. You got to walk in and be you. And then those are the people with the same self-interest. I think, you know the virtues of what you're trying to do. So, what I'm trying to do in the world is this, and those people that have those same self there, and then the way you communicate with them on a regular basis makes them stay with you. And I know for most of you, or I'm sure the majority of you that are on this webcast know the people that have been with me forever. And we will finishing this. We're all going to grow old in the next generation. And I think that's all. We have, it's not like our interests are weird or non-conforming. They're actually important, and we want to do it in a way. And I think that's what's unique. Fake it. There's no magic to anything. You have to be you with a strong message and there, Kat?
Could you repeat that last part? Yeah. We lost you, that last sentence. Could you repeat it?
Well, I mean, you can't, I'm not sure what part that was, but where you can't just, when you ask me a question, what's the strategy to get a tribe? There isn't one. And I think that's sort of the magic or the secret to how, we created a culture, whether it was 24-hour fitness, whether it was Gold's Gym, whether it's here, whether it was NESM. We created a very strong culture because we all had the same self-interest. And, and somehow, me being in the trenches all the time would endear me to the people that would listen. And then those people that had the same self-interest, and it wasn't everybody in that audience, and it wasn't everybody anywhere else, but there was enough of them there to where they wanted to stay with you. And if you look around, today, pretty much everybody's still with us. The companies are and everything. So you can't fake it. There's no strategy for getting your own tribe, but you got to be in the trenches. You got to look people eye to eye. You got to go belly to belly, and then and not be afraid to be able to, just be you. You have to be real.
Right. And that's Peter asked the question. He said, thank you. He says, I'm hearing to be authentic and consistent. So that's the message.
Perfect. Thank you. That's a better way of saying it. See, there's a guy right there who's more articulate than I am. He did it in 2 words.
Yeah. In fewer words, right?
That's right.
And we're part of your tribe. So just, you're always welcome to hang out with us more. And so it's pretty cool. All right,
Yep.
so another question's coming in about products. What are some of the new products and flavors of protein that are coming out?
Well, I mean, the flavors, we're not going to come out with any more flavors because we just came out with 10, and that's the unflavored protein. So we have the unflavored protein, which is, again, of course, all natural. Then we have the flavor packs that go with it. So we've added the peanut butter, the orangesicle. You've got strawberry now that you can put in a cookie dough, birthday cake, and then we have mint coming out, and a bunch of, there's a few other ones too. So those are the ones for the unflavored. So, and that's really a big online play. So, someone can, buy one powder and then buy all those packs and have that there. Because I know in the gyms, when you're already carrying all the flavors, you're adding another SKU there. So sometimes it gets a little crowded if you're not a big retailer. Like some of our clubs are big retailers, so it's easy. But that's an amazing product. So we're pretty much doing the flavors that way when it comes to protein powders. But everything else, I mean, we just came out with the vegan amino boost, of course, with that colada, with a tropical colada, the vegan bar. One of the things though, since you brought that up about new products, we talk about staying evidence-based. I would love to come out with all kinds of stuff because it gets everybody excited, right? It's out there. But if it's not evidence-based, I can't do it, and I wouldn't do it anyway. I'm not going to sell something just to sell something because it's the hottest thing on Google, hottest thing on Amazon. I'm not going to do that, especially things that you put inside your body. So we will always come out with necessary things. Flavor extensions are great. That's a great thing that we can continually do. Bar extensions, those kinds of things. We just came out with the digestive enzymes. As you know, that was a big request. We just didn't have a big enough market for it. But it's become a very popular. I'm surprised the public had no idea. Just because it does a pretty good job of making, helping some minor discomforts with digestion, which most people have. And then, anything else, just we're continuing to NSF certify more and more things. Anything else, Chad, I'm missing here coming out soon?
Just updates on the
Yeah, the update, by the way, good, thanks for reminding me that. So I just finished, as you guys know, I never stopped writing and I never stopped studying. I just finished the updates on our multivitamins. Now, a little while ago, I just added choline to the kit, which is super important. Choline is now listed, go to the DGA, Dietary Guidelines, as almost the #1 nutrient insufficiency that we have. And choline has become now an essential nutrient, which is so important to brain development, healthy aging, just especially prenatal in the womb. You can't go back and fix these things when you miss it. So I have put, and this is almost like getting now you're going to get a 3-in-1 or a 4-in-1 with your multi. Got the high vitamin D, got the antioxidant protection, and got your multivitamin mineral complete, but you've also going to have choline. So you'll start seeing choline and every minerals. Now you got a selling point that no one can touch because no one's done that yet because everybody's buying it separate. So we'll have enough in there that matches a typical American, get you closer to where you need to be. So that's going to be huge. Great selling point.
Okay, cool. And so just to follow up on that, what are the emerging areas in nutrition that you're seeing?
Well, the emerging areas, unfortunately, are sort of these different diets that are out there. I mean, at the end of the day, protein, fats, and carbohydrates, there's a certain amount that every human being needs depending on your activity and your age. No one argues that, right? And so, but when we start doing things and, the emerging things right now are all the different fad diets that are out there. I'm not putting them down. Intermittent diets got its place. Keto diets has its place for, people that are epileptic and some other things. And then you've also got your other ones, but we always still come back to the kind of the baseline. I'm not saying it's for everybody. I like the idea if you can intermittent fasting for weight loss because I like the idea of it for people that like to do that because it's easier for them to follow that. And it can be. And that's all I care about. That's why I gave up on telling people what to eat many, many years ago. Now, of course, we tell athletes what to eat because they have to. They have to function at a higher level, so they have to have the right carb protein mix and all that. But everybody else, so what I don't like are some of the emerging diets, and then what happens is that kind of stuff just stays on the radar. But on a good note, and again, don't get ahead of yourself here. So you got to listen to the whole story here before I finish. Personalized nutrition is probably about 10 or 15, 20 years away from where now. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. It's dangerous. Doing DNA tests, take a swab, and I'll send you a supplement pack. Really? You know, I mean, it's like, so you've got all of these subscription models out there. It's totally bad. I mean, they're, you know, the swab here tells you just need to take this, and we'll change it every other week, and just sign up for, you know, $50 a month, and we're not there yet. We're going to get there. Now that we cracked the genome, we're going to get there. We're going to see there will be personalized nutrition that we can do, and we don't even have to do DNA testing. We already personalize it for you. Look at the questionnaire we put you through. That's about as personalized as you're going to get that's legitimate. That's for sure. But you know, the DNA testing is just, everybody jumped on it too soon. You talk to any top scientist, nutritional scientist, they say it's just stay away from it. We're nowhere near that yet. Now, there are some specific DNA tests that we can actually do that might tell you what folate supplement you might need or something like that. But even that's pushing it. So there's some things there that we should know that is definitely the future. That's emerging. It's going to be, that's going to be the future for sure. Nutrigenomics is what we call it, and we will get there. Hopefully, it'll all happen in my lifetime. You know, and I'm making sure I stay around for all that type of thing. And that way, people can start young, maybe. But at the same time, the problem is we're fighting against Western fare. We're fighting against capitalism, and again, I'm a capitalist, obviously, but we're fighting against, you know, one company trying to outdo the other. So they're just going to make it taste good. Making it taste good doesn't matter how you personalize your nutrition is. You're still going to eat like shit. So that's just the problem we fight constantly. We got to start young. Start young.
Yep, I would agree. I'd say chrononutrition, nutrigenomics, and of course the gut microbiome is a big hot topic right now.
Well, that's a good point too. That's all part. Without a doubt, the microbiome is a big thing. And I always like to tell people that, you know, you realize that when you're in the womb, you don't have a single piece of bacteria anywhere in your body. The second you pop out in that hospital, about 5 trillion jump right in, and that begins the whole thing. Isn't that amazing? It is quite something, though. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so Elizabeth wants to know, given that this is a young industry, for those of us like me who just started in their 40s and 50s, is it possible to build a tribe, especially knowing that nutrition can add years to your life?
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding me? I mean, you're at that age right now. I didn't start my first business until now. I mean, I think the tribe was forming since the 20s, you know, to a certain extent. But I mean, absolutely. If you wear your brand and you lead by example, and you're just in great shape and healthy, and it's just, you know, your whole orbit around you feels that. I mean, are you kidding me? You're going to have people attracted to you. They're going to come to you for all the right reasons, as long as you keep your education going. You can't just be that magazine reader or Google reader or internet, or scour the internet for something that just sounds good. You stay grounded, you know, with like the information we do on the nutrition side. You stay grounded in that. You wear that brand, and trust me, you will have a tribe. You know, you'll have more than you want to have to deal with.
Yeah, I would so agree with you. And if you look at, you know, the industry in general and which, you know, age group is super engaged with the most discretionary income, it's people over 50. So I definitely would not give up.
And not only on that note, also, remember, youth, young kids, they're still immortal. Immortality hasn't faded yet. Immortality doesn't fade until your late 40s, 50s, and all of a sudden you go, whoa, shit, I'm about halfway done, maybe over halfway done. And then you start thinking different. Now you're starting to put all this stuff in your body to make you healthy. You know, I always make the quip that, you know, you look at your 75-year-old, their whole cabinet's full of supplements and using them. You look at a 23-year-old, they might have an old calcium with dust on it, or a multivitamin with dust on it, because they're still immortal. Right. You know, they're not looking at the other side. So that's why I'm on this crusade now, that you never stop taking the vitamin mineral for the rest of your life from the time you get out of that womb. You're already taking it in the womb, whether you liked it or not. It was coming in. And they made that mandatory with the doctors, you know, to make sure that every woman that was going to conceive or already had conceived was taking a multivitamin mineral. and it did wonders, obviously. So you would never stop that. So now you've got all your structure has all the stuff it needs, right? It has all the things that are essential to life. It has it at the right amounts. So, well, you're going to get them otherwise, but you're not going to get them the right amounts. You don't get the right amounts, you build a weaker structure. That's simple. You can't go back and fix that later on. So starting that very young, you'll find out one good turn deserves another. In other words, by having a stronger structure, you keep moving and you want to move. But when you're weak and you fracture all the time and you just get, and then you start to get overweight, you're not moving. So just starting with the right structure makes it a lot easier to be able to always want to be, moving.
And there you have it. I think that's a good place to wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for attending today's masterclass. We'll go ahead and post the recording on the masterclass site of our website. And if you want to reach out to Neal, Neal @dotfit.com. I'm also available, KAT@dotfit.com. If you need any support @dotfit.com. And with that said, would you like to close the webinar for us, Neal?
Yeah, and I just, first of all, I want to apologize for the technical difficulties. We have never had them like this, for sure. And it was unfortunate that it happened on this one. This was kind of a special one that I was really saving up for you guys. So I definitely want to apologize for that, number one. And then number two is that hopefully you'll finish this journey with me. I told you I'm just getting started, because people always ask me, well, he's going to leave someday. He's not going to be here anymore. Well, that'll never happen. And I will never know if I don't save the world. I set out to do that. I'll never know if I don't, because I will die trying. And I've got a lot to do, and I can't do it without you. And for all of you that have been with me for so long, and with those of you that are joining this crusade right now, all I can do is thank you. And I will see you in the field, because I am always out there in the trenches with all you guys. So I hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Have a good one, you guys.